Welcome back to FPL Spad, your best place to find FPL content for the 23-24 season. My name is Spad. Today I'm going to talk about which transfers to bring in are great, which ones are lucrative for the future, which ones are gambles, and which ones certainly we need to avoid ahead of game week 2. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for future FPL content. Check out my Twitter feed where I'll be keeping updated price rises and price drops in the future. Now let me show you my transfer watch list. So first up, we have Jackson. He's a great transfer. I reckon he'll get loads of points in the future. His next game is against West Ham away. I reckon they got easy sell fixtures coming up, so I expect him to get a lot of points. There's Chelsea have been signing more midfielders, so I expect him to get more goals as well as their team gets more complete and stacked. Next up, we have Espinian. He's a very lucrative transfer. I had him in my team before deadline. During the deadline stream, I took him out and I regret it. His price has already gone up as we filmed this video to 5.1 million. His next game up is against Wolves. Easy sell fixtures. I expect people to keep transferring him in. He's already transferred in by 240,000 people. And I expect that trend to continue and his price to increase again in the future. Next up, we have a very gamble one, Tonali. He had a great game for his first Premier League debut, got a goal and an assist. Good return, especially for 5.5 million. Their next game up is against City though, so it's going to be a hard game. So in my opinion, he'll be a gamble transfer to bring in just yet. Maybe in the future it might be good to bring in. Let's see how he goes, because you can't judge a player on just one game. Then we have the person we have to avoid is Trippier. As I've been saying pre-season, he's not going to be as good as last season. Racking up points. So in my opinion, he's too expensive for 6.5 million defender to bring in, who is not going to rack up the points. Next up, we have Mbubu. Another mistake that I made during my live stream, taking him out for Bernardo Silva. I regret it. But the points prediction says he's the main man to bring in. He's already been transferred by 140,000 people already. For the next 5 games, he's got highly predicted points. I expect him to get those points. I made a mistake by taking him out because I thought he was going to be injured. I wish I could bring him back in straight away, but it just doesn't work that way, especially with just one free transfer available at the moment. So for now, I'm going to keep one of my Bernardo Silva in. Maybe I change my mind in deadline. I just don't know. Next up, for lucrative transfer, we have João Pedro for Brighton. He had a very good first game, only 5.5 million. The next game is against Wolves away. So I expect him to get maybe some points. But Wolves did have a good game against United on Monday night, which I expect to get at least a draw. They got robbed. That should be in a pen right at the end. But João Pedro, he got a goal in the last game. So I expect him to continue. He's taking the pens. That's how he got the goal. So it's a good transfer to bring in. And I expect a lot more people to bring him in as well. He's bought in by 180,000 people so far. Next up, a gamble transfer in Nketiah for Arsenal. The reason why I say it's a gamble, he got a goal in the last game, but there's a fear of rotation risk with him, which, in my opinion, is just too much of a gamble for an Arsenal player to bring in when you got the likes of Martinelli, Saka, and Odegaard in the midfield choice that you have to choose from. So, in my opinion, he is a gamble, but it's again up to you for your choice. But that's one of my options. Next up, a player that we have to avoid is Nathan Ake from Man City. Reason being, same as before, rotation risk. With Man City, how they are, we just don't know what Pep is doing all the time, so we just don't know how they're going to completely set up. So for now, I say avoid him. He costs 5 million. The next game is against Newcastle at home, but in my opinion, I say avoid him. Next up, a good transfer to bring in is Saliba. He costs 5 million, already transferred in by 230,000 people. But next game up is against Crystal Palace away. I expect him to make decent points. A lot of people had Gabriel before, so in the last game week, and he didn't start. He came on for Timber because Timber got injured, but let's see what happens here. But he's a great transfer to bring in the future because I expect Arsenal to keep a lot of clean sheets. So expect him to make points, and he even got an assist in the last game. So I think he's a good option to bring in. Next up for a lucrative transfer, Maddison. I watched him close up last week because I was at the Brentford game. He is, in my opinion, like the main threat in the Spurs team. When I was watching the game, he was the one player that stood out that you had to keep under control. I expect a lot of people to keep bringing him in. He's been bought in by 170,000 people already. I expect more people to bring him in after this game week, maybe. Because next game up, they've got Man United at home. He might get some points in that game. He will be the key player for Spurs, in my opinion, after Son. Son didn't have the best game against Brentford. So in my opinion, Maddison is the best option from Spurs to bring in. And he could be lucrative because his price can keep increasing because they have got easier fixtures coming up after the United game. Next up, one is a gamble, is Rodri. He got 13 points in the last game. He massed it. He got a goal. He got an assist, I think. He got the bonus points. He got it all. He got the same amount of points as Haaland. He is 5.6 million now because he's already gone up in price. Next game up is against Newcastle. I just expect him to play as he has CDM. I don't expect him to get goals every game, like maybe one in every four. So it's too much of a gamble to bring him in. But it's your choice again. It is a gamble, in my opinion. So I won't be bringing him in because of that. Next player, in my opinion, to avoid is Reece James. A lot of you have guys been bringing him in. 160,000 people. The only reason I avoid him because I think he's an injury risk. He could get injured at any point. In the Liverpool game, he came off early on the 60th minute, I think. The manager said he was tired. But, like, come on. We just don't know with him. Until he gets a proper run, like, then maybe I'll bring him in. But even then, he's too much of an injury risk for me. So I'll avoid him. Next one to avoid is Anderson from Crystal Palace. Because 4.5 million, made good amount of points last week. Won't make those points every week. So the next game up is against Arsenal at home. So I don't expect to make any points in that game. Next one up for a gamble is Isak. Reason why I say gamble, even though he got a goal, I think he might have got an assist, but I think he got a goal. I know that. The reason why I say he's a gamble because same rotation rate between him and Wilson. I thought he was a guaranteed starter with Wilson, with Isak playing on the left. But from what we saw in the first game with Anthony Gordon playing on the left, I see maybe Isak and Wilson rotating now. If that's the case, it's too much of a risk to bring in him in for rotation risk. Even though Wilson came on and got his goal. But that's not going to be the case every single week. So in my opinion, he's a gamble. Unless you know the team sheet beforehand. Then you keep him. But then, still in my opinion, is a gamble. Next up, a lucrative transfer. DRB from Villa. Cost 6.5 million. Their next game up is against Everton at home. And I expect him to get a lot of points in those games. And on the back of that, I expect the week after to bring him in. And his price will increase by people bringing him in. Already 125,000 people have brought him in. His price hasn't gone up yet. He's only 6.5 million. But if he gets a good amount of points against Everton at home, which I expect him to do, as playing a second striker to Watkins, his price will increase in the future. And finally, a great transfer to bring in is Luis Diaz from Liverpool for 7.5 million against Bournemouth at home. If you don't have Salah, you probably won't have Nunes because only biased people like me have Nunes in their team. But I think Luis Diaz is a guaranteed starter for Liverpool, the one bright spark that we have at the moment in our team. He's always a goal threat for 7.5 million. I think he's a bargain to have in your team. So he's a must bring in, must be in your team. And that is for the transfer watch list. So that's it for this transfer watch list. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. Please leave a comment on the video. I might mispronounce some player names, but I hope you understood who I meant. Thank you again for watching my videos. Please like and subscribe to my channel for future FPL content. Check out my Twitter feed where I'll be doing my price rises and price drops nearly every other day. Thank you again for watching my video. See you next time. See ya!